All right, you lovely people. We're back to wrap up our first module. Are you excited? I'm excited. All right, maybe not. Should we watch? I don't want you to see my mouth. I'm self-conscious. Here we are. Just to remind us, so far we have talked about 3 different approaches to ethics that we'll be covering in this class. I've also noted that ethics is an inherently normative area. That is, it's prescribing and evaluating. So it's different from more descriptive fields like psychology or anthropology. And these are themes we'll continually come back to, especially in the early units. So we'll see this again. But as I finished the last video, I raised this issue about, well, how do we resolve disagreements between normative claims? I think The Rock is a good guy. You think he's a jerk. How do we fix that? Who's right, who's wrong? Can we both be right? Can we both be wrong? Good question. Now, I'll come back to this at the very end of this video. I want to take a bit of a detour because there are some very famous thought experiments in ethics that help us think about how we justify or how we should justify our value judgments. And these are known as trolley problems. Some of you have probably heard of this. With the advent of self-driving cars, this has become a very popular topic of conversation among ethicists. Indeed, I've included an optional video in this module that talks about the ethics of self-driving cars. So check that out if you're interested. I think it's a very cool discussion. But I'll focus on the more traditional examples, which involve these runaway trolleys. Kind of exciting, though. Do you even know what a trolley is? You'll see one, and there'll be an image of one in this thing. But these trolley problems involve situations where you have to make a choice. But no matter what you choose to do, people are going to die. And so this is supposed to raise and think about how do we approach these problems. So here is the first trolley problem.
I like the trolley problem. An out-of-control trolley car is speeding towards 5 people tied to a track. But you can pull a lever and make the trolley swerve onto another track where only one person is going to get run down. Should you do it?
Okay, dramatic, I know. So there's this runaway trolley. If nothing is done, the trolley is going to hit and kill 5 people. Just take that as a fact. If nothing is done, if you do nothing, 5 people are going to die. However, you can pull a lever that will save those 5 people, but then the trolley is going to go down a different track and kill 1 person. You'll save the 5. They're fine, but you know that 1 person on that other track is going to die. So that's the question. What should you do? Pull the lever or do nothing? Assume those are the only choices. You got your notebook? Maybe write down. You might change your mind later. Write it down in your notebook. Do you do nothing? Allow 5 people to die while that 1 person stays alive? Or do you pull the lever, kill the guy, but the 5 others live? Now, I usually poll the class at this point, and I would say pretty reliably, at least 3/4, a good chunk of the class immediately are just like, it's obvious, pull the lever. It's like they don't even think it's a hard problem. Pull the lever. And of course, being a philosopher, the philosopher's favorite question is always, why? And without hesitation, someone's hands shoot up. Oh, this is easy. This is great. Early class, easy question. Why? And I bet you can guess what they say. Take a moment. If someone says they're going to pull the lever, allow the 1 to die, but save the 5, what's their reason, do you think? I hope it's not too mysterious. They always say, it'll save the most lives. If 1 person has to die, but it saves 5, let's save those 5. It's a simple math problem, I guess. And they look at me like I'm an idiot for even asking the question. Like, well, it's obvious. Pull the lever. Save the 5, though, it's sad 1 dies, but at least you saved the most lives. I think this principle is so fundamental and obvious, they think I'm an idiot for even asking. And usually everyone nods their heads, yes, of course. And other students, if they speak, they usually just repeat in different ways the same basic principle of, if I can save the most lives, I should save the most lives. And in this case, pull the lever. And I think right away, this is cool because it reveals right away how justification works in ethics. It reveals that we do operate on moral reasoning. And that just means that the right thing to do, in this case, pull or don't pull the lever, the right thing to do is whatever has the best reasons behind it. I think we just, given how quickly people respond to that pull the lever or don't, that question, just shows that immediately we are equipped. We naturally, well, for whatever reasons, I won't go into whether it's biological or whatever, but somehow, for some reason, we just inherently, people just immediately, when they're asked to justify something, they think they have to provide good reasons for it. And so again, morality seems to be based on this idea of moral reasoning. The right thing to do is the thing that has the best reasons for doing it. And we are just naturally willing to do that. Save the most lives. It's obvious. Seems like a simple, the most simple of moral principles. And along the same lines, we can see a second feature of moral reasoning. Namely, when someone tells you that you ought to do something, you should do this, unless it's your mom. Your mom tells you all sorts of stuff and you just do it because it's your mom. But if a stranger comes up and says you really should pull that lever, or really you shouldn't pull that lever, whatever they say, you're going to be like, well, why should I not do this? Tell me more, tell me more. Tell me more, tell me more. Tell me more. Because not only are we willing just to justify our decisions, we are also very quick to demand reasons. Moral reasoning just seems to be this give and take of reasons. Why should I do it? Why shouldn't I do it? These are questions that demand answers and doesn't seem weird to us. And again, this shows that saving the most lives seems to be just a very natural principle for that runaway trolley problem. Now, there is a second trolley problem that I will show you. And maybe this makes things more complicated. Let's watch and see.
But what if the situation was slightly different? This time, there's no lever to make the trolley swerve, but there's an obese man standing next to the track, and you calculate that he weighs just enough to derail the trolley. Do you push him in front of it?
That poor woman. They always cut to her at the very end. I don't know, maybe you caught a glimpse of it. They always cut it to her at the very end looking shocked after this guy has laid out this trolley example. That's weird. Anyhow, once again, there's a runaway trolley. If nothing is done, it's going to hit and kill those 5 people. We've seen that before. However, there's no lever now. There's only one track. Instead, though, there's that large guy that you can push onto the track. That large man will die, but I guess he's so big. This is bad. I'm a big guy too. And so now I'm like, I'm not standing next to train tracks apparently. But again, you know that if you push that guy onto the track, that will derail and stop the train, save the 5, but that one large man will die. So again, should you push the man to save the 5 lives, or should you do nothing? The large man lives, the 5 die. Again, pull out your notebook. What should you do? You can assume those are the only options. You do nothing or you push the man. You can probably guess when I asked this question in class, now it's even more almost unanimous, is that about 90% of the students say at this point, no way, we're not pushing the man, we do nothing. We will stand there, let the large man live. Thank you, I'm large, so I'm glad. But they say, ooh. They say, see, guy, you have a microphone. Now it's been revealed, my secrets. Most students overwhelmingly are like, do not touch the large man. But of course, I hope you can already guess then my question as the philosopher is, well, wait a minute. Before you were all about saving the most lives, what happened to that now? Because the math, it's the same. 1 dies, 5 live, or 5 die, 1 lives. As a math problem, it's the same. And there is that 10% of people who I guess are the computer that save the most lives. But most people don't. They don't want to push that large man. And I won't go into the details, but I think people immediately realize, well, first of all, reasons have to be given for that change. And I think it illustrates a much deeper principle that we have, this thing of consistency we have. Because when it comes to moral reasoning, one of our first principles is of consistency. That just means that If we think something works in one case, well, then it should work in similar cases. So if you think saving the most lives operates in that first problem, then it should work in the second problem. Unless, I keep bumping this thing, unless there is a good reason for making an exception. And most people think there is a good reason for an exception, and then we have to morally reason about what that might look like. And we get lots of different answers about why we should not, we can pull the lever, that's fine, but we should not push the large man onto the track. And so again, I just want to focus on the idea that we really do place a value on consistency. And that's kind of cool because when it comes to moral reasoning, we care about reasons, as I mentioned, but we also care that there are good reasons and there are bad reasons. And one of the principal good reasons seems to be consistency. Are you being consistent with your judgments? And of course, there's probably lots of other good reasons, like accurate reasons. Those are good ones. If I'm making a claim and it involves any sorts of facts, then I hope I have the facts right. Maybe we believe good reasons are impartial. They're not biased. They're not prejudiced. They're not based on maybe skin color or gender or whatever. That we're impartial, that no one should get special treatment unless there's a good reason to give someone that special treatment. And it all comes back down to reasoning. There are good reasons, like consistency-based reasons, accuracy-based reasons, and there are bad reasons, like ones based on prejudice and bias. We operate this way. This shouldn't be mysterious to people. Now, we can go back to the rock. We had that disagreement. Is the rock good or not? Now I hope you have a sense about how we would approach that. You probably had this already. Philosophy sometimes is just trying to, we do two things. We make simple things complex and then try to make them simple again. It's a lot of fun. But I think you already know, if we have a debate about the rock, we're going to give reasons. I mean, I guess we're free to disagree, but maybe it matters to us whether or not the rock's good, because it might be, is this a person we should model our lives after? Maybe come out with your own tequila brand.
All right, it is Terramana Tuesday.
Yeah. You could ask yourself, does The Rock give to charity? Does he help his friends when they're struggling? I mean, I hear all these stories about The Rock and, what's his name? His co-star in the Jumanji movies. Apparently what's his name? I'll pop up a picture of them both together. I just remember there was a story where his friend got hurt and then The Rock went and did a bunch of stuff for him. That's pretty cool. Why can't I remember his name? He's a funny dude. God dang it. Anyway, I'll pop up a picture. But you get the idea. We have basic starting points about reasoning. Doesn't mean everyone's going to agree on everything. We'll come back to that. That's a very important point. But at least we understand at least how things are going to start. Now, Rachel's put this all together in what they call the minimum conception of morality. And what that says is morality is, at the very least, the effort to guide one's conduct by reason. That is, to do what there are the best reasons for doing while giving equal weight to the interests of each individual affected by one's decision. We shouldn't act arbitrarily. We should consider how our actions impact other people. All these things come together when we're reasoning morally. And in short, we shouldn't act arbitrarily without justification. We should pay attention to how our actions impact people. That's pretty basic stuff. And indeed, if anything, I like this because I think it gives us our first handle on what we might call the common sense approach to morality. Because when we're talking about all this abstract stuff, we have to, at the end of the day, should come back and at least understand what we mean when normal people are talking outside of this class about right and wrong and good and bad and what we should or should not do. And it does seem like common sense agrees that we need if you're going to make a moral judgment, you need to back it up with good reasons. And there are good reasons and there are stupid bad reasons. We want the good ones. Common sense seems to say we should care about how our actions are impacting others, that it seems kind of wrong to be callous and ignore how we affect those around us. Of course, as any philosopher will tell you, common sense is also a mess. It struggles with those two trolley problems, trying to figure out how to, pull the lever, kill the one, but not push the fat man and allow 5 people to die. How do we reconcile it? Common sense kind of struggles with that a bit. It goes all over the place in trying to resolve that. Maybe philosophy can help us there. That's a project for the whole semester, though. I'm not going to solve that anytime soon. But at least I hope for now you have a better sense about what ethics is, how it's different, and where to begin when it comes to justifying moral claims. So that's all I have for you for Module 1. You can pat yourself on the back. You've finished. I used to have a teacher who would always say, oh, patting on your back is good. You put your arm up, you put your hand down and pat your back, and it gets rid of the arm flab. I haven't looked at my arm flab in a while. Hopefully I'm not that old yet. Got that. I eat lots of yogurt. That's supposed to be good. And water, good for elasticity of the skin. Anyway, pat yourself on the back. Stop that arm flab from forming. And as always, let me know if you have any questions or comments or concerns and tweet about it. It'll be fun, I dare say. And otherwise, take care. Stay safe.